Investing for tax deductions, why it might be, simply put, the stupidest strategy when it comes to property investing. So if you want to know more, stick around because we're going to unpack that deep dive here in this video. Guys, welcome to the channel. My name's Julian. I'm the head of strategy here at Ripehouse. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you've hit that like button and you click subscribe, because here on this channel, we talk about property investing and finance relating back to property. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about investing just purely for tax deductions and why that, simply put, is probably the dumbest strategy you can possibly go to when it comes about creating and furthering your wealth when it goes to property investing. I guess it's understanding when you're investing, the sole function should be to increase your wealth. Now, there are different reasons you would want to increase your wealth. For some people, it's about having a better retirement, having an earlier retirement, improving your current lifestyle, whether that's going to help you pay off your mortgage quicker, whether that's going to get you into a better house, a better suburb, whatever, scale back from work, whatever really that is, it's up to the individual, their goal and, what they're trying to work towards. But purely investing to reduce the amount of tax you want to pay is a silly way to go about it. And I guess it's almost like chasing fool's gold. So, it looks nice and pretty and it's attractive on the surface, but when you deep down, it actually has no real value to you in terms of it doesn't actually serve a real purpose. It's not what the valuable item is. And I guess what is the biggest misconception when it comes to property investing when I speak with individuals is actually understanding how depreciation actually works. And probably first thing, if you speak to anybody and if the first thing that mentions out of their mouth is depreciation benefit or depreciation schedule, you should be making road runner dust out of that presentation and ending that call or walking out of that office straight away, because that is not how you're going to grow your wealth. And I guess understanding what depreciation is, it can be a nice added bonus. If you're buying a property and it happens to have depreciation available to it, great, this is fantastic, but this is not how you grow your wealth. And the reason for that is depreciation is essentially claiming a loss. So you've lost money because the property has gone backwards in value. When I say the property, I'm more referencing the home, because understanding that a dwelling decreases in value over 40 years. So it's going to decrease and get basically to the value of zero at year 40. Now, in this example we've got here on the screen, we've got a property and it's giving us $20,000 per annum in depreciation. Now, what people tend to think out there, and even when they come to tax time, JB Hi-Fi and all these in Officeworks are always running these ads in, June every year about tax time savings, claiming for work. If you go out there and buy a $2,000 laptop, more often than not, unless it's an instant asset write-off, you're not getting all of that money back as well. But even still, you're only going to get back a portion of that back in tax time. It's going to tie back into what your marginal tax rate is. So if you're sitting at the 30% tax bracket, and here, for example, if you're earning $45,000 to $135,000, your tax bracket is 30%. So you won't get back $20,000 at tax time because of that depreciation benefit. You will get back 30% of that back. Now, there will be some changes exactly where it lands. It might be a little bit less. It might be a little bit more, because it's going to depend on exactly where you fit in the category, because it's not an exact flat 30%. It's a set dollar figure plus once you earn over a certain amount, it's 30% of that every dollar. But you're going to get somewhere around $6,000 back. Now, if you're the next tax bracket up, you can see it jumps up a little bit. You get 7.4K back. And if you're at the top tax bracket, you're essentially getting back $9,000 back per annum. Now, but what that means is essentially you've copped, even at the top tax bracket, you've copped an $11,000 loss. So for me, it just doesn't stack up. And a lot of this times, you need to understand, if you're getting in front of somebody and they start talking to you about new home builds, builders are not a not-for-profit organization, right? They're not going out there doing it for charity. They're not doing it out of their own will. They want to see people living in the home. They're doing it to earn a living, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But, when you're buying a property, there is margin added on top. There's margin on the labor. There's margin on the building materials. There's margin from the sales agent, the land developer. There are all these different stages, the architect, the town planner, the the conveyancer. There's all these people that are making an earn throughout the process. And that's why if the only thing they're offering to you is depreciation, I think it's understanding that is not how you grow your wealth. It's essentially going backwards, claiming a little bit on tax to essentially cost yourself a lot of dollars in the first one. I think it's understanding the overall way you are making your money through property investing and why it is a powerful way to accelerate your wealth creation is through the power of leverage, right? So what it allows us to do is once we can get in, we can start here in example A. Most people are investing in shares or managed funds. They put $1 in, they get $1 back. So this slide's probably popped up or variations of it over time, but we buy a $100,000 asset with our $100,000, we get a 10% return. So we make $10,000, which is essentially a 10% return on our capital. Where property investing gets really powerful, it allows us to increase the asset value of which we have invested into the pool. So we can take on debt and all of a sudden we might have a 5 or 10 times multiplier in terms of our total asset value. And if we get a similar growth rate, we make 5 to 10 times back our money. Now, without getting even further complex, obviously, there's running costs, servicing a property, interest rates, council water rates, all these kind of things. But in general, that's why you make faster growth on properties because of that leverage aspect. But it's also tying into the compounding effect. Now, many years ago, we did a very extensive study on performance of new home builds versus established properties. And this was like over 9,000 builds. And we'll put it into the link at the top. It is a few years old, but the preface still stands to the test of time. When you buy a property that is a new home build, in general, as long as you're not going through something like a pandemic, which sees the price of building costs and labor astronomically spike for that very short window, in general, inflation goes at around 3%, 2 to 3% per annum. So whilst that new build has been complete, property gets released typically in stages. So you'll see land developers, there's stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. That land release will typically go for anywhere from, say, 5 years up to 10, 15 years. There's certain areas out in Melbourne's West that I know have been going for decades. Okay, but on our report, we basically found that the first 7 to 10 years of you holding that property, the performance of that property falls in line with inflation. So if we wanted to compare a property here, we buy it $500,000. If we're getting a 3% growth rate versus the longer term average on an established property, it's slightly above 7%, but we've used 7% for this example, you'll see after 10 years, you can either hold a $670,000 brand new home, which might have got you some depreciation along the way, or you can hold a established property, which is nearly worth $1 million right now. And the difference per year of you holding that property has been over $30,000 of growth per year. And this isn't even taking into account was when you're buying an established property, you will typically see those properties get faster growing rental rates because of the land scarcity, element that's associated with it as well. So yes, we've foregone the depreciation benefits, but we've probably got better rental growth and we've definitely got better capital growth. So for me, if you're going to ask me, do I want $6,000 back, $7,000 back each year in terms of depreciation? Great. Or would I like $30,000? I know which option I'm going to take each and every time. And it really ties back to it's a mindset thing. Now, you don't hear me talk too much about mindset kind of things. I am kind of one of the old school mentality where I feel like feelings are for the end of your fingers. But in general, it's understanding, would you rather save money or make more money and get taxed? I think there's great books out there, The Barefoot Investor. That's probably one that's most important. It talks about how you can save money in each and every year. But I think that the part that's missing from people's psyche out there is, what about if you could make more, right? So a lot of people will talk about, I'm not going to buy the morning coffee, or I'm not going to buy the Avo on toast, or all those kind of things. Well, what if, as well as doing those things, you actually poured your time and effort into things that are actually going to create for you? Now, whether that's working more, whether that's overtime, pushing for a promotion, taking on, further education to get that promotion, whether that's starting a side business, having that abundance mindset rather than that scarcity mindset. Because what you'll find is if you're earning more, your ability to lend gets better. Your ability to improve your lifestyle, go on more trips, all those things is going to be more available to you. And a bit of an example of this is, we talk about tax. Well, let's just say we had that property as an example before, where we've made an extra $30,000 per year. We've decided to sell the property. Well, yeah, I'm going to get taxed more, right? So we've got here, someone's made 130 grand, or someone's made $195,000. The reality is I'm going to pay more tax. I'm happy to pay that. I would rather be making more money and getting taxed more, because at the end of the day, there's still going to be more money in my pocket than me trying to fight over the dollars to pick up some pennies, as some might say. So I hope this video has been a bit of an eye-opener for some people, but I'd love to know your thoughts. If you haven't already, make sure you liked and subscribe. Leave your comments and thoughts on this one below, and we will catch you guys on the next video. Bye for now.